Welcome to my video today. I hope you'll watch it all the way through. In life, the decisions we make can lead us down paths from which there is no return. This story is about one such moment. One night, love, betrayal, and entangled emotions came to the fore when David Miller noticed the strange look in his wife Rachel's eyes. He had no idea that this night in New York City in the fall of 2023 would steer them toward an unexpected path. What was on Rachel's mind? Would David allow his wife to fall into the arms of another? This story will all take you on a journey into the darkest corners of human nature, making you question the fine line between right and wrong, desire and morality. But first, if you don't want your life to be turned upside down like mine, subscribe to my channel to learn real lessons from the real stories we share every day. Share your thoughts about the shocking truths I've experienced in the comments, and please show your support by liking my video. Now that you've subscribed, let's dive into my story as David Miller, where I faced many challenges throughout my life. But tonight, I had no idea what was in store for me. It all started at a restaurant in Manhattan, where I saw Rachel. She seemed really happy, her eyes sparkling in a way that caught my attention. But there was something about her that made me feel uneasy. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something wasn't right. I was approached by a waiter with a note that would change my life in ways I hadn't imagined. My heart was racing as I read it. It said that my wife was in danger, but not in the way I had ever expected. A man named Daniel Harper was trying to seduce Rachel. My eyes immediately went to the dance floor, where I saw Rachel and Daniel dancing together. Her smile showed she was interested in him, which made me even more suspicious. I was ready to step in, but just as I was about to stand up, the music stopped, and Rachel came back to the table with Daniel. I was still uneasy, but I tried to stay calm. However, when Rachel got up to go to the restroom, that strange feeling came back. She was acting so strangely that I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to follow her, when Daniel and his friends suddenly blocked my path. Looking at these young men, I was reminded of the challenges I'd faced throughout my life. I'd become an expert at dealing with high-ranking corporate officials and mafia members, but these young men posed no real threat. With a few sharp words, I quickly dealt with them and followed after Rachel. She was heading toward the back exit of the restaurant, and I quickly closed the distance between us. I told her to stop, and she turned to me with a look of estrangement in her eyes. I asked where she was going, but her answer marked the beginning of a nightmare. She said she was going to Daniel's house. I couldn't accept that. Rachel tried to convince me that being with Daniel that night was just a fling and that everything would return to normal the next morning. But to me, this was more than just a fling. It was the end of our marriage. I was filled with anger and disappointment. How could my wife so easily consider being with Daniel? I saw a moment of hesitation in her eyes, but then she spoke with determination about how important this night was for her and how he made her feel. But her words only made my anger worse. "David," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "I never meant to hurt you. This isn't about love, it's just something I need to do. Just this once, and then everything will go back to the way it was." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mind was racing, trying to grasp the reality of what she was saying. "You're telling me that spending the night with another man just this once won't destroy what we have? Spending the night with another man just this once won't destroy what we have, Rachel. How can you even think that?" She looked away, unable to meet my eyes. "It's not like that," she whispered. "Daniel, he's different. He makes me feel alive in a way I haven't felt in years. I just need to know what that is." Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. "So, you don't make me feel alive anymore? Is that it? All these years, all the love we've shared, does that mean nothing to you?" Her eyes filled with tears. For a moment, I thought she might change her mind. But instead she said, "David, please try to understand. I need this. Just let me go. I made my decision. If Rachel was going to spend the night with Daniel, then our marriage had to end right there." When I told her this, she looked horrified for a moment, but then I saw the resolve in her eyes, and I knew she understood the gravity of the situation. She briefly considered stepping back, but the determination and coldness in my gaze shook her even more. "Are you really willing to throw everything away for one night with him?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "David, is our marriage worth that to you?" "Don't do this," Rachel pleaded. "It's not about us. It's about me and what I need right now. Can't you just let me have this? The emptiness inside me is a void that I know can never be filled if you walk out that door. You're not just spending the night with him, you're ending us. Do you understand that? She hesitated, her hand on the door handle as if she was weighing her options. I didn't want it to be like this, but if that's what it takes, then I guess this is goodbye. That night, our marriage was changed forever. All the memories we shared and the joy we felt together seemed to vanish in an instant. I felt an overwhelming emptiness inside. The thought of Rachel being with another man deeply wounded me. I could never forgive her. I could never love her the same way again. This was the night everything changed when Rachel realized the magnitude of her mistake. She tried to save our marriage, but this wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was a decision that would change our lives forever. For me, we had reached a point of no return. My trust in her was gone. My wife was completely shattered. Rachel, on the other hand, would have to live with this decision for the rest of her life. In the days that followed, Rachel tried to make amends. She apologized over and over, begging for my forgiveness. But how could I forgive her when the trust between us was gone? How could I ever look at her the same way, knowing what she had done? She would often break down in tears as she whispered, "David, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. Please, please forgive me." But every time I just turned away from her. I didn't hear a word she said. All the promises we'd made to each other were meaningless. Then one evening, after she'd tried to reach me countless times, she finally broke down. She knelt before me, her hands clasped together, her face streaked with tears. "David, please don't throw us away," she said. "I know I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. I've always loved you. Please don't let this be the end." I looked at her, the woman I'd loved for so many years, and for a brief moment I wanted to believe her. I wanted to forgive her and start over, but I was still hurting from the betrayal. I knew that no matter how much she begged or cried, things could never go back to the way they were. "Rachel," I said quietly, "I wish I could. I wish I could just forget everything and move on. I can't go back to how it was. What you did changed everything. We can't go back to how it was." Her sobs grew louder. She was shaking with grief. "David, please don't do this. I can't lose you. I won't survive without you." But I knew deep down that it was already over. The love we once had was gone. It was replaced by a kind of hollow emptiness that nothing could fill. "I'm sorry, Rachel, but I can't stay in a marriage where trust no longer exists. It's time to let go." With those words I walked away, leaving behind the woman who had once been my everything. I closed the door behind me, knowing that this was the final chapter of our story. It was a story of love, betrayal, and the irreversible consequences of the choices we make. We all make decisions in our lives, but some lead us down paths from which there is no return. Rachel's decision, though it might have seemed like just a fleeting moment, irrevocably changed our lives. Nothing will ever be the same, and this story is not just a tale of betrayal. It's a narrative that delves into the complexities of human nature, desires, and choices. Every decision brings with it consequences, and some consequences change our lives forever. Thanks for listening to the end of the video. Please give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments section below if you were the person in the story.